ended up there, and then I made friends with the workers, and there's something very powerful and beautiful, even though it's heartbreaking, about that yard. So I kept going back for a year, and in that time I wanted to take myself out. Like, I didn't want to be, they would refer to me as like, oh, she's here from the news, like, when are we going to see ourselves on TV? And I'd say, no, it's a film, like, I don't think you're going to see yourselves on TV, like, this is different. But there was still this idea, oh, she's from the media. And I didn't also want to play that role. Like, I wanted to kind of explore this idea of violence being something not spectacular and being rather slow in nature. And so what happens when there is violence, but it's not on like the 9 o'clock news? How do you talk about those kinds of violence, or like that kind, like who takes accountability, or like where do you position it, where do you locate it? And so that's when this idea of perhaps taking myself out of it, but moving in there like through the ship, became important to me. Or that also this idea, I think, of how, for me, I felt that like the ship and the workers are kind of, they're both in this battle with one another, where the workers are taking the ship apart. But I also felt that the ship is equally destructive for the workers. Like, the ship kills them, maims them. I mean, so many times there are workers that leave the yard, and then years later they discover that their lungs have disinterred and they have asbestosis. So that's where this idea of, like, I was like, okay, they're in battle, but is it possible to, say, explore a relationship of empathy between them? If that can be, then how can it be? So that's where I think the idea of animating this ship came from.
The workers seem to be, and perhaps that's my own sort of Eurocentric ignorance speaking. Was that the case for you, or did you arrive there knowing that they would be talking quite in detail about their conditions and about the future?
No, actually not. I mean, I knew that there was a union there, and I also know that, I mean, there had been union busting activity, so this was the third time that a union had tried to be formed. But actually, because of that accident that took place, the owners, or like the yard association, that accident was really bad and got a lot of press, so they didn't